Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind. Hey, the fallout is really starting to pick up here. You could probably argue at the current state that support for Joe Biden for president is at the lowest level that it's ever been. I have honestly never seen anything like it. The polling data is telling us one thing, of course. It's pretty much telling us that Biden is done, at least in the current state. But outside of just the data, the mood, the sentiment, the online trends, what people are saying, how people are feeling, that right there is probably what is freaking the Democrat establishment more than anything else. Panic is starting to set in hard. And it's pretty much how I said a couple months ago. And of course, Democrats did it to themselves. This is what happens when you go on and on and on and on about my democracy, moo democracy. But then when it comes time for democracy, like, I don't know, during the Democrat nomination process, and you have a bunch of people attempting to challenge Joe Biden to be the presidential nominee ahead of 2024, when 70% of Democrats in some polls state that they don't want Biden, that's essentially their democratic will. And when the Democrats' response is, well, we're shutting down debates and too bad, suckers, Joe Biden's the guy, we're pushing our puppet, well, it's really no surprise that we're seeing fallout. It's no surprise that we're seeing Democrats, from random people on TikTok to Bill Maher on his show, looking for alternatives and even essentially saying, at least in the Democratic nomination process, that they won't vote for Biden, but rather they're going to support his Democrat contenders. The trend is picking up. It's Biden voter regret, as well as a massive group of people online protesting with their vote, claiming they will not vote for Creepy Joe. Let me show you guys what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so let me tell you, Democrats are panicking, especially with something like this. Bill Maher already boosting Dean Phillips' challenge to Biden. He's 54. Did I mention he's 54? Take a look at this interaction with Fox News host Jessica Tarlov and Bill Maher. You could sense the panic.
Okay. Before we run out of time, Dean Phillips. What? He seeks the new Mike Johnson. In other words, the new guy I never heard of.
Better name, though.
In Congress. He is a Democrat who is running against Biden. So there is a challenger, Dean Phillips. He's from Minnesota. He's Jewish. He's 54. Did I mention he's 54? And he loves Biden. He says exactly what I say. Did a great job, but don't do it again.
That's right.
Family, self-made millionaire from families in the organic vodka business. Dean Phillips. I'm getting behind him for president of the United States. How about you? Do you know anything about him?
Yeah, more than I knew about Mike Johnson 2 days ago.
Should we welcome this? Is this good?
I guess when I was listening to your interview with Governor Cuomo, who was saying that we need a lively primary, and that doesn't take away from anything that Biden has accomplished, which I think we all agree is a tremendous amount. The issue with what Dean Phillips is doing is, there are a lot of like Steve Schmidt is a senior advisor to him. I got an email today from Andrew Yang, who has not revealed himself, I think, to have the best interests of the Democratic Party winning elections at heart. In 2019, he was maxed out donation from Harlan Crow, who bankrolls Clarence Thomas. There are things about him that I don't like. I appreciate the enthusiasm, and these are issues we should be talking about, but every vote in 2024 is going to count. And if we're losing, the TikTok Hamas vote.
I love it. I love Dean Phillips
don't love it.
because nobody knows who the f*** he is, and that's good. You know what I know about him? He's 54, and he's got a D next to his name. He's already got half the votes, and he doesn't have any of the baggage of the other guys. Okay, we got to go to new rules.
Did you see how uncomfortable the establishment Democrat talking head Jessica Tarlov was? She didn't want to entertain that idea at all. Bill Maher essentially tried roping her in like, this is the thing, right? Her response, no, please no. And that seems to be the dynamic right now, because it's not just Bill Maher, and it's not just in reference to the Democratic nomination process. There is a trend currently going on TikTok, especially with young voters, promoting this idea of boycotting their vote and refusing to vote for Joe Biden in the 2024 election.
Joseph, you and Candy Corn not president hard enough for me. When y'all was asking for them votes, y'all said y'all gonna be president hard as I'm not feeling no president.
I will not vote for Genocide Joe is a growing sentiment from all over social media. Refusing to vote for someone funding a genocide is the morally correct stance, point blank period. Okay, so what now? Third party. Yes, I'm serious.
White liberals, you do not get to tell minorities that they are selfish and insane for saying that they will not vote for Genocide Joe in 2024. Y'all are the ones that are actually mad if you still think that Joe Biden is the lesser of two evils between him and Trump.
Do you understand what a no vote means? It means people will not vote for a president in the next election. It doesn't mean that these people are going to vote for Donald Trump. It does not mean that anyone is giving anyone else permission to vote for Donald Trump. People simply will not vote for a president.
There's voter enthusiasm, then there's lack of voter enthusiasm, and then there's this. I mean, what we're seeing, I think, is on a completely different level. Joe Biden has failed to deliver for the American people. He's failed to deliver for almost every group of class that isn't the elitist asset class. And they're dropping off like flies. Whether it's young people who, are vehemently anti-Israel and pro-Hamas, that seems to be a trend with young Gen Z voters. Whether it's single-issue voters who simply want student loan forgiveness or a path towards a more communist government, universal healthcare, and the rest of that nonsense. Whether it's people who just can't afford to buy a home or can't afford to do groceries. People who have been forced to go to food banks, sell their homes, downsize their living. There are so many people who are discontent with Piss Pants Joe. And again, it's like we've been covering for years. What does Joe do? Well, he keeps telling those people that actually their concerns and their issues are unjustified and that they have an inability to be happy and that actually he's doing a great job. Well, that idiotic marketing strategy clearly isn't working so well. And now when people are asking for alternatives, when people don't want Joe, when they're entertaining the idea of a 54-year-old Democrat who has no name recognition over Joe, because it seems as though literally right now the standard for many Democrat voters is literally anybody with a pulse who isn't an 80-year-old dementia patient, as long as they have a D next to their name. I mean, that's pretty much the standard. Well, that's not exactly a good place to be if you're an incumbent Democrat hoping for a second term. And of course, to make matters worse, another idiotic strategic move, Democrats shutting down debate, shutting down the democratic process for Democrat Party voters to choose their own president. Not exactly a good look and not a good feeling if you're a Democrat voter. Again, an idiotic move. And that's where we get to the second element. That we're seeing people who don't want to vote for Joe, so they're going to vote for Dean Phillips. We're seeing people who are boycotting their vote in general, and they're just not going to vote for Joe at all. And now we're also seeing people who want to vote for Robert F. Kennedy. It's the same point that I've made in every RFK Jr. video, that early preliminary data is probably going to show that Robert F. Kennedy is going to take some votes away from Donald Trump. But the more reality starts to settle in, less Republicans are going to be falling for the scam that is RFK Jr., but more Democrats will be open to it just because of their general frustration with what's going on with the DNC right now. It's a triple whammy, and the numbers keep showing us that, well, this is exactly what's happening. Here's a Georgia poll between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. This is from Zogby with likely voters. Trump leads 2 points at 51-49, but then the moment you introduce RFK Jr. and Mr. West, they pull 20 points, and most of those points come from Joe Biden. Here's another poll that shows the same thing. In a three-way race, Trump leads by 2, Trump at 40, Joe Biden at 38, and RFK Jr. at 10%. But what the pollster wrote was about twice as many Biden 2020 voters currently say that they would vote for Kennedy in comparison to Trump 2020 voters at 12% to 5. It is a triple whammy. There are 3 ways which Democrats are planning to protest vote from the nomination process to the general election. There is a general frustration, there is a drop-off, a rejection, a reaction, whatever you want to call it. There's something, there's a phenomenon of frustration, and people are just done with Joe Biden as the leader of the Democrats. And I think it's actually going to be a very, very big factor in the coming general election. Of course, though, let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Let me know if you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.